Hi, my name is Desu, and I'm going to demonstrate the percentile range index set mapping and evaluation tool using some data that we have already included in. The interface of Prime looks like this. So has a menu bar where the user can input data and also provide some initial conditions and indices, as well as a menu to produce datascapes and evaluation. So the first step is to bring input data. For that, you click there, and then you go to where you have the data. I have Prime. So this is the data. So this data includes water level, sea level, and fresh to marine head difference for the sites. You can see the sites here. So the Key West and all the other sites that are shown in the map, their data, their water level data is already included in that file. Which the data is a daily data from 2001 to 2016. Alright, so the date here is the timestamp where we choose the date, and then we select an ID for the datascapes or the maps that we are going to produce. So I'm going to choose site. Since there are many sites there, I'm going to demonstrate Prime using the Key West sea level data. So I choose the Key West sea level data, and I decide the columns and the rows for the map. So the columns are going to be year and the rows are going to be month. So if I want individual columns to be treated separately, I'll check this. Otherwise, I'll leave this one out. So finally here, I select the field where I have the values for the sea level. The next step is to extract selected data from the database. So I extract that. It will take a little bit. The next step is to define range. I'm going to have 5. These are 5 ranges. They are percentile range, so they go from 0 to 100. So the first range is the omegas from 0 to, let's say, 15, as already described in the manuscript, from 15 to 33 percentile, and from 33rd percentile to 67th percentile, and then from 67 percentile to 85, from 85 to 100. So these are the uppercase omegas that we define. The minimum value here, since we're dealing with sea level based on the data, that goes to -60. So let's put labels here. So these are the labels that the user can assign. So let's put L for the lower one, the medium, let's call this high values. Alright, so these are the labels, and we can input indexes here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are the indexes, and these are the labels associated with the individual indexes. So we update this. So let's have maps at 33rd and the median, which is the 50 percentile, and 67. So these are the lowercase omegas. Now let's see what the data looks like. So this is the data that we have. Sea level from 2001 to 2016, the entire time series, and we can look at the January. So these are the Januaries of every year and the Februaries of every year, or we can look at 1 year and look the February for that year. So we can browse and see the data. We can also look at the descriptive statistics if we want to for selected times. Alright, so let's go to the mapping. So the first is the percentile curve, for which we want to see the long-term percentile curve. It looks like this. You can choose the Januaries of every year or the January of 2001 or every month of 2001. So these are the subsets, the sub dataset, the percentile curve for the sub datasets. Once we have that, we can evaluate the percentile range values. So these are the percentile range values for the 33rd percentile, 15th percentile, 67th percentile, and the average. I have included the average so that it would be easier to compare or to map and see how it differs from the other mapping percentiles. And finally, we're looking for the datascape. So these are the index values that we have included at the beginning, where here, so these values come from here, but we want to have a colorful and appealing format, so we want the datascape. So in label format they look like this. This is a visual representation of the data that we have included. So at the 33rd percentile it looks like this. So we can have this. The good thing about Prime is that we can, so let's go back to Prime. So select all, copy, and paste. So we have that map, that datascape right here, which is for the 33rd percentile. That's for the 33rd percentile. So these are the months from January to February. They're from January. And these are the years from 2001, 2002, all the way to 2016. I'm going to change the orientation. So this is for the 33rd percentile. We can have the 50th percentile, 67th percentile, or the average, and copy and paste them. So when you look at the final map, it looks like this. So this is for the 33rd percentile and for the 67th percentile already included in the map. Now, since we have these maps already included, we can save them, save the datascape. We can give them a name. Let's call it sea level datascape. Key West sea level datascape. So it's already saved. Now let's go and see the relationship between the 33rd percentile and the 67th percentile. That would be the evaluation. So let's go to the evaluation. So this is the interface for the evaluation. We bring the datascape. We have saved our data here. That was Key West. So we bring that. We're going to compare from the same file, so we check this. The datascape has three maps here: the 50, the 33rd, the 50, the 67, and we also have included the average. So the two is the same map. So let's say we wanted to compare the 33rd with the 67. So this is the 33rd percentile, and this is the 67th percentile, and this is the contingency table, and which is the same as the table we have in here. So that's the contingency table, and the statistics of the contingency table comes out here. So the sum of the diagonals, which is this diagonal, and the sum of the diagonal along with its adjacent values, that those would be these values. So that's 186. Then we take the ratio of the sum, the diagonals to the total sum, which is 51%, and the adjusted diagonal divided by the total would give us 96%. So this is a very strong diagonal relationship because they are this, it's the same variable. So when the lower values get higher, the higher values also get higher. So the system goes up and down uniformly. And in general, we know that the datascape 2, the 67th percentile is obviously higher, so we see values on the upper triangle here. Sometimes the relationship might be reversed. In that case, instead of having this diagonal, the diagonal would be going in a reverse direction. So you might want to do, or you might want to flip the columns first before calculating the contingency table. In that case, you just have to click this and see how it flips. So once we have that, we copy this and paste it in Excel, or export the table. So copy and paste in Excel, and that will give you all the information that you need. This is the map 1 percentile, the datascape 1 percentile, datascape 2 percentile. This is the diagonal, this is the adjusted diagonal, this is the total count, this is the percent of the diagonal, and so on. So once you have this, then you have already evaluated your map. You can also import another data. Let's say I wanted to import fresh to marine head difference. So that would be the second one. So thank you.